Good afternoon. I think it's 2 days after Christmas. My name is Emily, and my Etsy store is Yesterday's Stash. And today I was going to talk to you about a series of journals that I am going to work on called Hopeful 2021. But before we begin with that, I wanted to show you something. I don't know if you've ever made yo-yos. I think I might have a couple of yo-yos in the book that am getting ready to show you. But yo-yo, I found these at my scrap store. A lady had a whole kit together, including instructions how to do it, and all these circles. She had these look like they're about 3-inch circles. This looks like about 4-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch. And all of these patterns, just all kinds of different patterns. And so I don't think I'm going to probably use them all in yo-yos, but what a neat way to spend some long winter nights when we're on, or afternoons or mornings or days. But yo-yos are fun to do. Once you get the routine down, and you can find the instructions, on a YouTube channel. What I did was I had found these little tiny flowers, and so I took the yo-yos that she had done that looked like this, and then I added little flowers in the middle of them, and we'll try to color coordinate them. So that's going to be something interesting that I'm going to work on and try to use as little inserts or in pages. I also have come across this group of books like this old newspaper, made out of newsprint, but it's instructions for back in the day when we were learning how to sew, and all the different, and I go through these, and I remember having to have an iron that you iron after every step, and gathers and all sorts of things. But the front of the book is really intact so nicely, and the book was published in 1941, so that's interesting. But my book here actually has a lot of clouds in it. It started with this set of papers that I found at the thrift store. When your books are totally made from thrift store finds. Well, not 100%, because I do order things from Etsy and from other, I order from an Instagram, a woman who sells on Instagram. But anyway, always looking for interesting papers, and these beautiful clouds and blue skies just sort of talked me into starting a journal. And I thought we're looking forward to having some hope for 2021, hope that there will be a vaccine, hope that we will get some type of normalcy back, and so forth. So this is the first book in a series that I'm going to do, and it's going to be called Blue Skies, and it is based on the color blue, and it is pretty thick. It's 8.8 and a quarter maybe by 5 and a half or 5 and a quarter, and it takes two hardback bookends that I found an old book and cut it up, and then I put anything that I can find at the thrift store is what I use. So this was a big round of wallpaper. So I used that as sort of the round, and then I found this, I couldn't decide what to put on, for the tie, and this type of tie doesn't do really well to have it in a bow, so basically the closing of this book is sort of like this, and so the book has 42 pages, and I still have some pins in here from where I was drying, and 42 pages, so front and back makes 84, and It's got at least half of the pages are, just plain paper finds for journaling. All the pages are thick. All of the, I don't use, this is probably maybe 80-pound paper that I used, but it's 4 signatures, and it's, has lots of stuff in it, which if you took the stuff out, it would make it a lot easier to work with. But I ended up putting just all sorts of hopeful statements in the book, and just have really enjoyed working on it. One of the things is because it was blue skies, I used the color blue a lot, so I've got a lot of blue buttons on this sort of floral splash of lace. Have a fabric that I did a machine stitch on it. This is a piece of wallpaper from the thrift store. I find some pretty good finds with wallpaper, so I use that. These are all, these two are handmade. This one's handmade, and this one is a prima flower that I just threw in there because it was, to give it a little oddity. I don't like for things to match too perfectly. But this is the way the book, ended up. I ended up putting one of these brad things in the very middle, so that that's between the second and the third, so that if you wanted to, you could take this off. And then I've been sort of in a quandary as to whether this or the lace would look good. So I'm including that in with the book, should you decide you want to get the book. So it will give you some variety. If you decide you can take the brad off and take this trim off and use something else. I put a little bit of lace to finish the end off. So this comes from Tsunami Rose. This is one of her collections. And then here's an example of how I used pages from magazines. I find that I get ideas from going to my thrift store, and then I'll get ideas from finding magazines at the thrift store. And so there's going to be little sayings throughout. This one is a Stephen Hawking, and I don't know if you know who he is, but he's recently died. He was a brilliant man who had a health condition that impaired him, but he's written just a real scientist that we've used his work quite a bit in the science field. But this is this page here is an example of how I just found these really neat little displays or little pictures in magazines. And this is the magazine that I'm using most of. It's called Art Journaling, and it was one that I found for I think their magazines are 50 cents a piece, and it's a Stampington and Company book. And this particular one was fairly new, February 2020. So sometimes I go into my thrift store and the book section has just got all books and no paper kind of thing, like magazines or wrapping paper, or I'm always looking for paper, old maps, and so forth. And so this last time, I was very fortunate that somebody had thrown away all of their Stampington books. And so I was able to find some of these. So I get ideas from them, and I, get how to assemble things and put them together from these magazines. Somerset Memories is one that I bought last week, and it is January 2009. So when I see books like this, I just pick them all up. I don't look and try to pick, I picked up about half of them. Let me just say, I don't pick them all up. Otherwise, I would have way too many magazines. But These books have got some of the best ideas and best pictures in them. It's Somerset Memories, Scrapbooking and Heritage Art, which, you know, seems to be the direction that I go in. So that's what this is. That's from a magazine, and this is a napkin that I did some work on. I did some collaging on it, and these are other little tags. It might take a year, it might take a day, but what's meant to be will always find its way. So that's just an example of some of the kind. I'm not going to read all of them to you, but this is a magazine page. It was a page of an ancient map, and I made a pocket out of some of the collaged napkin, a blue. This is what another thing that really inspired me was this blue trim that I was able to find at the thrift store. This is from a piece of fabric, and I made a tag out of that. This is from some envelopes, little tiny envelopes, not tiny, small, medium-sized envelopes. And this is a whole bunch of old magazine ads from the, from magazines that I collected that are much older than these that I've shown you. So they're magazine advertisements. I also ran across a stack of these pages. They were nice cardstock, and so I picked them up. Usually everything is wrapped in a plastic and very well taped with thick tape, and so it's you can't really tell what you're getting all the time. They do try to package their stuff up so that it doesn't become bent and misshapen, but here's another hopeful statement. This is another magazine page, and this is also tissue paper that I did and tried to use this to sort of straighten some of the edges of the books that I have. This is from an old, this is from the thrift store, and it is a couple of postcards from a company out of Arkansas called Oddballs. And I have just picked up quite a few of them. I added a pocket to this, put the word dream on it. These are all journal pages that you can use that have a little collaging or a picture or something on the end. I used some of the K&company cardstock to put in the middle of the signatures. Lots of lace, more lace. This is one of those, different people have put different names onto this where you fold it up and you have a little hidden place right here. Just not quite sure who actually started that, but it sure is a great idea, and it's really good if you have two different sides of paper. This says, "We need hope or else we cannot endure." And all of my quotes will have who said that. These are some, this came off of a free flowers, free maybe even that you can go in and print them out. Again, this is where I did some hand stenciling on that. This is another similar page with a magazine with tissue paper and with a quote on it. More quotes, quite a few quotes in here. More of that paper that I said that I found. Also from an Instagram seller, Vintage Bite is her name, and she was selling some handmade paper, so I bought a stack from her on Instagram, and what beautiful paper this was. Now, I usually like to have some sort of a finish on it, so I've got a finish on it. This is from a fabric roll that I picked up sometime back at Tuesday morning, so I did pay full price for that. And here's a couple of tags that can be written on or put a picture on. I kind of experimented with some needlework. I took a piece of fabric that had a lot of just plain open color to it, and I cut them into shapes of clouds, since it's going to be called, since I'm going to have clouds in the title of the book. These are old advertisements from different places where you can get free images, and more of that. I just thought that paper was so pretty that I couldn't resist not doing some gluing on that. A lot of machine sewing. This is from an old heirloom or family. I got a bunch of these when we got rid of the old home place. That a lot of spinsters lived in the old house, and they would take these pieces of squares and they would put either neckties or fabric or whatever, and then they would sew it like it would be a panel for a quilt. And this is just one of the pieces of fabric, and then they would do all this really intricate handwork on it. The unfortunate thing is, and I would have made it into a quilt, although I think it probably would have been very not necessarily, it's, when you would be an overwhelming piece of work. And so the fabric, though, some of the fabric has tiny little holes where it's so old that it's gotten worn, and so I have to be some of it I'm having to just cut around, and so I kind of made that into a little. This is a stack of paper that I found at the used bookstore. It's a weekly list of how you can plan a whole year of how you want to, Monday through Friday, a weekend, whatever. It's a weekly list, and like I picked this up just like this, but it was in a plastic envelope, clear plastic envelope. And so I put one of those in there, thinking that if anybody wanted to duplicate it, they could. Another positivity statement. This is another one of those. I've turned quite a few of those pieces of and cut them out into shapes, and I've turned them into hearts, a lot of them, because it was big enough that I could do that. And then another positivity or quote, be an encourager, the world has plenty of crises already. And this is a magazine page that I turned into a tag. Just an old house. Did a lot of trimming around the outside edges. Ordered some flowers from that lady, Vintage Bite. I think that, yeah, she had a pocket of flowers that she sold. So I put some of them on some of the pages. More of that paper that was kind of, that's good for journaling on. This is some of that handmade paper. And this is that fabric I was telling you about that has a lot of open places in it. And the flowers, just a really pretty motif, so I cut the flowers out and made them into tags. And then what was in between, I turned into tags or used as the background for some tags. This is just where I took some muslin, stitched around, and sewed some flower or a stamp on either side of it. And this is a little folder that I put a lot of K&company little tiny tidbits in that you can use. And then, of course, our positivity statement or our hopeful statement. This is the center of this signature, and you can see what that looks like. It's got two little envelopes. Like I say, when you're at the thrift stores, beck and call as to what you put in your books, then you pick up what you think will work. So I get tremendous ideas, not just from watching YouTubes, but also going to this thrift store and looking at magazines, old magazines and things of that nature. So more of my little experiment with the clouds. And this is a couple of vintage sort of fabric that was thick that I just made into little tags. But you can take all of the tags out and the book will be nice and flat, and you can put your own things in it and use these, you know, these for other things. I went through a period of time when I was collecting pictures of castles or old buildings in and around England. And this is called Bilberry. It's a charming Cotswold village. A short job from you know how the British pronounce their words very differently. So, but anyway, it just is a little summary about the place, and it just talks about sections of England, and this one is the Cotswolds, which is just a beautiful, beautiful section. This is more of that paper that I added to the cloud paper. So I added the handmade paper to the end of it, and then I, you know, put some trim on it. And this is a piece of that handmade paper. This is just a little, and I just added some things, different things to it. Tried to put a little bit of like a trim, a gold, flossy, glossy kind of from folk art or Americana. I like to put, this is a transparent and this is more of a silver, and I just like to cover those. And then I also use these types of things. This is called metallic gilding polish, and I find that it turns sort of jelly-like, and the way that you have to liquidify it up is put glycerol in it, glycerin, and a little bit of water, and you just stir it until it gets, this has a, which I can't get off, this has a sponge on the end that you can use for dotting or, you know, adding that sort of thing. But I did buy vegetable glycerin that I use to kind of liquefy some of that. And this is a picture from an old magazine that I thought was cute. Some more tags in here. This is actually what that handmade paper looks like. And then I kind of added a little pocket here to it. This H stands for hope. This is the very middle, and this is where I put that brad, I guess it's called a brad, to hold in the binding around the outside of the book. These are a set of old pictures that I found from the National Gallery of Art at my bookstore, at my used thrift store. So I cut some of them out. There was just a huge stack of them, and put them on a ran them through a coffee dye, and then I think I added a little backing so that it would be easy for you to use it however you wanted. Here's another one of my book pages using napkins. Another quote. Another one of these cloudy blue skies, clouds, and a little writing space. Another picture from a magazine. These are some old tags that you can get free from public domain. More of those pictures. This came from Godey's book. No, maybe not. It's just a book of old. It was a book of old black and white pictures, and it had, like, this is Winston Churchill and his aunt in Dublin in 1880 something. So it's just really old black and white photos, but the main thing I liked about them was looking at the different fashions. Here's more of that handmade paper, and how I attached it to a cloudy book, the book of A Page of the Clouds. so that it would, you know, kind of widen the page. This is where you can add some little tiny notes, hidden notes, another picture of a magazine, a little pocket that has a little border in it, and more of the pocket full of posies that I got from the Vintage Bite, the girl on Instagram that sells things. This is the inside, the center of this particular one, and more of the pages for writing on, my little handmade cloud effort. This particular is coloring pages, and it comes from this book. It's called My Heart is Like a Singing Bird, Quotes and Quotes to Color. And I think I got this from Thrift Books. Brighten your day with this gorgeous book of illustrated quotes to color. And I just thought, how neat to be able to share some of these, especially if they have quotes. You know, coloring is a fun pastime. More of that handmade paper. I think I'm getting into the last signature here. These are some more quotes that I've stuck in here. This is a napkin that I did a little collaging with, and a couple of book pages that can be turned in, that are tags that I put some hopeful quotes in. Here's just one example. Character consists of what you do on the third and fourth tries. So just these books are so much fun. I got into hearts, so I took some fabric and put it on paper, took my hearts, sewed them up and around, did some hand stitching, and so this is just a little heart that you can use for whatever. Never give up on something that you can't go a day without thinking about. I also collect postcards. I've got a couple of postcards in there. Another one of those little envelopes that has a tag that has a quote on it. Another quote, another magazine page, some of that handmade paper. So you can see that there's sort of a theme here. Mainly, it's texture. Putting things together that just are in my stash that will, you know, can be hand or machine sewn. Lots of lace, lots of machine sewing, lots of writing spots, some magazine, some library cards, and that's it. I will be including some extra things that I wasn't able to fit into the book, including the fact that I couldn't decide how to put this together. So I'm using this trim that I found because of the color blue that's in it, but also including those other things and some extra tags that I wasn't able to fit in here. But again, this is called Blue Skies, and it's a hopeful part of my hopeful series, Hopeful 2021. And this is the first of those books. So I appreciate you taking the time to come in and work, look at this book with me. It is just really joy to make. They're hard to get rid of. When you, this is a huge heart that I put together with some of that blue and a couple of doilies and so fabric and Ida cloth, everything kind of stacked up here on the book. But if you enjoyed watching this, I hope you will subscribe to my channel, to my YouTube channel, Emily R. Strader. And thank you for coming along on this journey with me. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.